Today we're going to be going over some fragrances you should and should not buy. We're going to be kind of looking at it as the approach of someone starting out and trying to build up a collection from scratch, although that's not always going to be the case. You know, there's going to be options in here that maybe you don't have yet that this will help give you some guidance on. Because we are in a really weird spot right now where you can't say that you're just wearing Paco Rabanne anymore, right? Like some people still seem to do. You ask, hey, what do you wear? Oh, I wear Paco Rabanne. And I'm always just like, oh, cool. I don't even go in to try to ask them what it is because it's very likely that they don't know what it is either. They just know the name brand. They wear a Paco Rabanne scent. Little do they know, at this point, there are so many to choose from. You got all the Invictus, all of the 1 millions, and many more. So when you're kind of navigating through all of these different iterations or flankers or everything like that, it can be a little bit hard to figure out what's good and what's not. So I'm going to help you out today. Let's start off with what I think is really worth picking up right now. I think these are still relevant to 2024. I think they work great right now, just in terms of how the community is and kind of what the trends are currently. These are great options. Now, the first one is going to be Valentino Uomo Born in Roma Intense. So, you know, they just keep adding on to these. We have the new Green Extravaganza and Rockstud Noir and all of those, which I do like them, but the names, they just keep getting longer and longer. This one has vanilla, lavender, and some vetiver. Really, they're not going into a whole lot of detail. They kind of just leave it at that, and that's perfectly fine. Really, you're not getting a ton more beyond that, except for like a tonka bean and some other fresh notes off the top, a little bit of a citrus pop off the opening, but it is primarily kind of powdery, sweet, with a woody, kind of slightly aromatic touch. I like this one so much more than I ever thought that I would, and I didn't think I was going to dislike how it smelled, but as far as actually reaching for it and picking it up and smelling it and really enjoying it, it has exceeded my expectations a lot. I think this one is far better than the original, and it's quite a bit better than a few of the others as well, you know, like Yellow Dream and a couple of those other ones. Now, to clarify, I'm not saying that I think this is better than the original Valentino Uomo or Uomo Intense. I wouldn't go that far, but this is one of the better, newer, more recent releases from them. And I think this is a great pickup that just works well right now. Granted, it is still pretty new, right? This isn't anything that's going to be dated already, but this really is going to help keep you kind of in touch with what the current trends are. Now, on the other hand, this next one that we're going to go over is pretty old. It's been out for a while, but I still think it really can hold up and do really well, and you might be surprised how well it works out in the public. It's Ralph Lauren Purple Label. So, like I said, nothing new. You know, I got this one within the past couple of years. I didn't get it back when I first started out or anything like that, because even when I was first starting out, this one was already well established. So I'm late to the party in that sense. But again, I have had it for a couple of years now, and it's just simply a phenomenal scent, mainly because for what it's worth, it's pretty unique. It has a blackberry note, which just is underutilized, right? And then a whole bunch of oak moss, blackberry, oak moss. Now you get some other notes as well. You know, they list off sage and orange and stuff like that. And you do pick up on those, especially the sage, kind of lending to a relatively aromatic and slightly earthy smell, but it's very green, earthy, and a little bit fruity in a non-traditional sense from the blackberry. And if I didn't say it already, it's just a super classy smelling scent, you know, something that really smells premium and upscale and luxurious. It kind of is going in a different direction compared to what's being released these days, but at the same time, I still think it can hold its own. Nothing about this smells old or dated or, you know, leaning in one direction or the other as far as age. I think any guy could pull this off, assuming they like how it smells and they have a desire to. I would say, given that it has a more mature smell, you know, I think maybe gentlemen who are a bit older would probably gravitate towards this one more. But if you're a teenager, you could still wear this one, no problem. You know, for a lot of people, this is nothing new. They've had it for a lot longer than I have, but I'll tell you, I still think this is a fantastic release to pick up, even in 2024. It still is going to work really well. Chanel Allure Homme Sport Eau Extreme. I mean, this guy's an absolute beast of a scent, and it still can hold its own. I mean, this thing is a powerhouse. You guys remember when it was getting hyped up, years back? I know it was kind of at the peak of its hype when I was starting out, and I believe it was 2015, maybe 2016 release, somewhere around in there. And I got it not long after I started collecting in 2017 area. Maybe early 2018 is when I ended up getting it, actually. I don't know, but somewhere around in that time frame, this one was really getting pretty hot. And the main reason is because it's just, especially when you first spray it on within the first hour or so, it's an absolute compliment magnet, and it really is strong. It really projects a lot in that initial time frame. Over time, it does start to settle down quite a bit. That's where it kind of will lose its edge, because now you're competing with fragrances like Sauvage Elixir and all these other scents that are significantly stronger. This can't really hold up against those, right? And the longevity, compared to some of these other newer scents, it lacks a little bit, but it is almost unbeatable within that first hour of wearing. This one has orange, mint, tonka bean. You got some black pepper in here as well, some sandalwood, or maybe cedarwood, one of the two, probably a little bit of both. But, it's a kind of a green, minty, fresh, orangey scent, pretty powdery, pretty dusty from the tonka bean that kind of goes throughout the entirety of the scent. But I do find it to be really wearable in spring and fall, maybe even early summer, just when the weather isn't freezing cold or super scorching hot either, kind of in between. But it could be something that you would wear as a signature scent most times of the year. I mean, it would work for about any situation. The main drawback with this is going to be the price. You can't get it on discounters really, and so you're paying retail, which is more expensive than most, but I still think it's worth the money, and it definitely works really well. Jimmy Choo Man Aqua. I mean, you don't really hear a ton about this. Now, this is a 2022 release, so still relatively new, but I don't really foresee this one getting as popular as something like Jimmy Choo Man Ice, or just, a lot of other fragrances out there. I don't think this is really gonna take off in that way, but that's okay. I mean, hey, if it's a little bit more under the radar, that's cool. It's got C notes, grapefruit, clary sage, bright, fresh, invigorating. And one thing that I've noticed after just wearing this one, and especially when I smell it in the air, is it has a distinct salty smell that reminds me a little bit of Tommy Bahama Set Sail St. Bart's, which is a fantastic kind of tequila, salty, lime, boozy summer scent, right? It really smells tropical. It smells like you're on vacation, legitimately. This has just a hint of that. I don't know what it's coming from, what the compounds are. That's kind of pushing it in that direction. Again, it's kind of the saltiness, I think, that's pushing it there. But every so often when I smell it, it has a bit of that, and I love it, because St. Bart's is one of my favorite summer cheapies. That's a $20 scent that smells fantastic. It suffers big time with performance. It's an eau de cologne. This one performs a bit better. They're still different, the scents themselves, but this one just has a little bit of that sometimes, which I think is cool. So this one's an eau de toilette, and I'm not saying it's a performance beast, because it's not, but also it isn't completely horrendous either. It's not hateful. It's 6 hours or so, which, for a start to your day scent that you might switch over to something else later, this is a good option. I think that this one is going to be underutilized. I don't think it's going to be all that popular like I had mentioned. So I think that makes this one a good pickup if you just want to stand out a little bit. And we'll finish this category with a final summer scent, since we're in summer, of course. Acqua di Gio Profondo. The easiest way to describe this one, just keeping it simple, is it's a nighttime version of the original Profondo, which I know I've said that before, of course, but that's just kind of an easy way to put it, because you might already have Profondo, and so you're thinking, do I need this or not? Well, again, that description is kind of how I view it as, and then so that can kind of help guide you in the right direction, as though you feel that that's worth it or not. Because obviously you can wear Acqua di Gio Profondo at night. You could wear anything at any time of day or night, right? So, it just comes down to, do you want a version of Profondo that's a little bit more rich, has a little bit more of a sweetness, and just has more of a nighttime appeal, and kind of more of a parfum wearing experience? If yes, then this is a good option. If no, then you could save yourself some money. And speaking of that, I mean, it's already on discounters. It has been for a while. 130 bucks for 100 ml parfum with a magnetic cap. That is not unreasonable at all, considering that it's still pretty much brand new and it's a parfum and it's an Acqua di Gio. Because I mean, even the original Profondo is going to be roughly around in that area, a little bit less sometimes, but not a huge amount. So it's not like this one is going for $160, $170 at discounter rate. That would maybe change things a little bit. But I mean, this one is pretty much on par with most of the others. I don't think it's a bad pickup at all. I love it, and I really do use it for that intended purpose, just more of a nighttime version of that summer gym. I want to go over a few that I think you guys should avoid, and I'm not just going to dump on these and then leave. I'm going to give you my reasoning behind them and maybe even some alternatives. The first one is YSL L'Homme Cologne Blue. So I think it smells really good, truthfully. I just before I was shooting this video, I smelled it again off the atomizer, and I like it. I like it a lot. But I do think that there are better options out there, and that's kind of why it's being placed here. It's got C notes, lavender, grapefruit, super pleasant, super clean, kind of soapy and fresh and bright. But again, the L'Homme lineup is huge. There are so many options. Not everybody wants to spend $1,000 collecting all of them. So I think you could kind of put that money into something different. If you want to stick with L'Homme, there's a couple options that I would push you towards. If you want to stick with kind of a summery scent or just kind of an all year rounder, L'Homme Les Parfums I think is phenomenal. It's really, really good, and it's about $80. If you wanted to go for something more fall, winter, you could go for L'Homme Eau de Parfum, a beautiful, true Eau de Parfum take on the original classic DNA. Just given the fact that you have other options, not only from this line, but just from other brands in general that do a very similar thing, this might not be something that you would prioritize. Next up, we have Rocus L'Homme Aromatic Touch. I really wanted to like this one. I was so excited. Wow, we've got no focus here. Even the camera doesn't like it. I was so excited when this one was announced because I love the original. Big fan of that one. It's a $30 scent that smells a lot more expensive, and it's really good quality. So when I saw a flanker coming out, I just kind of assumed naturally that I was going to really like it. Wasn't the case. It's got olibanum, patchouli, and cedarwood. The notes look amazing. Everything about this one, to me, was set up for success. I was pumped. It just never worked out that way for me. I don't know what it is, but when I smell it, even now, I don't know, it doesn't work well for me. It just has a really kind of almost, and it's not listed off, but like a fig smell, fig leaf kind of. Maybe it's the type of aromatics that they're using. Maybe it's the type of green notes that they're using. I don't know, but it doesn't work well for me. I think the original is much better. I think there are better options out there on the market in general. Last up for this video, we have Azzaro Chrome Aqua. It's got C notes, apple, basil. It's kind of a fresh, spicy, green, aromatic, aquatic, I guess is one way to put it. Again, it's not something that smells bad by any means, but I do think, again, that there are better options. Sticking with Chrome, we have Chrome Extreme, which is kind of like a cheap version of Acqua di Gio Profondo, or Chrome Parfum, which is a little bit more of an original take. And then going outside of this, there are many options out there as well, kind of aquatic, green, slightly soapy scents that you could go for that I think are superior. You could even go for something like John Varvatos Artisan Blue, which is kind of a green, aromatic, freshy, kind of similar to this, but better.